messed with it in the live. I messed with it today. I'm hoping, you know, some guys pick up on it more, but it's very easy. I can give it to them before they're even looking in, so it's audible.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it's just, you know, I could do that, and if they don't get it, once they look back in, they could shake. I can just go to the next one.
Really curious your reaction to this device as a former player, as a guy who played up the middle, who had to be a part of this conversation as well. Right. Yeah. This is just pitcher catcher. And by the way, there were a couple of other teams that have been experimenting with this, the Rockies among them. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the first things first is this is a new generation. Kids grew up with technology. We didn't. So all the old guys like me, get over it. You know, this is not your game, because I'm sitting here immediately going, look, we use scoreboard signs. We use all kinds of things. It's not necessary. That's how I learned how to play. They don't do that. These guys grow up on technology. They grow up on, here's a card, go stand here. This is what you do. This is the generation. So, yeah, it's going to be well received within this generation. And you have to respect that and understand that. They're figuring out ways to speed the game up. I think it's important. The more technology comes in, even watching March Madness, right? They go to check if a ball went out of bounds. It seems like it's taking forever. So we have to figure out how technology is always going to be a part of our games and sports, how to speed it up. This is one way they're thinking about right now. I wouldn't be excited about it, but I didn't grow up in that generation, so it's different.
Well, the reviews were positive between the two players with the Rays that used it, the pitcher, Phoenix Sanders, and Mike Zunino. As we mentioned, the Rockies wore it this weekend as well at spring training. The idea here, and the catcher has a device on his wrist, and the pitcher is outfitted with gear that can relay that choice of pitch to him.
Right.
So
we saw Vanderbilt do this earlier in the season.
So what are we eliminating here? We're eliminating the conferencing between pitcher and catcher when there's a pinch hitter.
Yeah.
We're eliminating the need to resequence pitches if there is a runner at second.
Right.
Right. It can all happen.
But here's the deal. I hope everybody's thought about this. With the rule changes that are coming in baseball, and I keep going back to the shift rule, we're all standing stationary with guys on half the field right now. So as an infielder, it doesn't matter to me what the heck you're calling, throwing, doesn't matter. I'm still standing in my spot I've been assigned to.
Right.
The importance of knowing a pitch and being able to anticipate is when you got two guys on each side of the infield. And now I got to cover. I got to anticipate this guy's going to hit a ball up the middle. I won't get there if I don't know what the fastball away, a left-hander might hit that way. You understand what I'm saying? So all this stuff is fine and dandy right now. You're going to have to add it to more people because I want to know what the pitch is. I got to know what the sequence is if I'm a middle infielder. Not one guy. Everybody's got to know. So this is all going to have to evolve. I'll give you a complicated...
So are you talking about just the infielders?
Well, yeah, I mean, outfielders are never really... I mean, obviously in college, a lot of times you put your hand behind your wrist to let them know if it's a fastball, curveball, and open hand behind your back is a fastball, closed fist is either way. Fastball, open fist, curveball, but I don't know if it's necessary for outfielders as much as it is for infielders. Look, they're looking at cards, man. Here's where you stand on this hitter. And that's what our game has come to. My concern with baseball is this. You have to legislate. In football, we see the quarterback go like this, he gets a play called. He goes to the plate, to the line. He's still got to distinguish what kind of defense is there.
Right.
He still controls that game. In baseball, is the pitcher going to shake off? What's going on? What's happening? Does he have to throw what's called? All these things come into it. And so I think you're getting into some gray area that they can obviously want to work through. But this, again, I got to continue to say this because it wouldn't work for me when I played. It wouldn't have worked in my generation. It will now because they grow up on technology. It's a different time. You have to accept that and understand it. We use one of the most complicated sign systems ever, and I dare anybody to figure it out today, back then, any day. When Mark Langston was pitching, he used what we call scoreboard signs. Whatever the count was, it changed what the pitch was. So, for example, if it was 0-0, 1-1, 2-2, it was the first sign the catcher put down. If it was 1-2, 2-1, an odd number like that, it was the third sign. If it was 0-1, 1-0, 2-0, 0-2, it was the second sign. I mean, it depended on what the at-bat was and what the count was. Nobody figures that out. it just doesn't happen. And so those are the things that you have to do and figure out. There's a lot of ways to relay signs and all that. I think we're getting so complicated, but I'm hoping we don't take the fun out of it for players. That was the fun part.
I like your comp with the quarterbacks because the quarterback still has a little bit of room to ad-lib, right?
Yes.
Even though the play's been called from someone else and it comes in from somewhere else, and you're thinking maybe our game can find that balance too.
You can't sit here and tell a pitcher fastball, you have to throw it. He may not feel convicted about throwing that pitch right there.
I mean, I think even though they're wearing the stuff, he can still shake.
Then
right?
Hit it again and again.
Yeah, keep hit.
We'll
that kind of thing. All right, let's take a break.
They'll work it out.
Let's take a break. It's interesting conversation, and it's coming for sure.
Oh, it's here.
All right, when we come back, we're going to have a Cardinals discussion. Jack Flaherty has talked about his camp injury. People are holding their breath in St. Louis. This guy is pretty important to any postseason plans in the gateway to the West. In fact, Costas took the day off. He's so worried about it.
We always believed the welcoming spirit was a small town thing. Turns out, we were wrong. Wherever Jim Beam is welcome, you'll be welcome too.
Recipes that tell a story. Moments that call for a celebration. Experience P.F. Chang's.
I hated sticking my fingers. Then I got the Dexcom G6.
I just glance at my phone and there's my glucose number.
Wow.
My A1C's dropped over 2 points to 7.2.
That's a huge victory.
What happens when performance meets power? You try crazy things because you're crazy and you like it. You get bigger, badder, faster. You can never have too much of a good thing. And power is a very good thing.
If the peanut butter in a Reese's could talk to the chocolate, what would it say? You complete me. Should we start a podcast? Who does your ridges?
Camping season starts now. Get an RV for as little as $5 a day at Camping World.
Welcome to Allstate. Here, you don't have to love cars to save when you bundle your home and auto. But if that's what you're into, that's cool. Bundle and save up to 25% with Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
To watch, 10 great reasons to debate. The top 10 starting pitchers right now, tonight at 8 Eastern on MLB Network.
This is the first year that the Cardinals radio booth hasn't had Mike Shannon in it since 1972. And this big boy just hit a homer.
Gonna miss old Mike.
That's Dylan Carlson with a home run in the Mets.
It's a good sign from the right side
Cardinals
of the plate.
game over the weekend. Paul Goldschmidt, first of the spring. Both of these at the expense of David Peterson. Cardinals go on to win by a final of 6-4. More on the Cardinals John Denton, who covers the Cardinals on MLB.com, has sent this out. The official diagnosis on Jack Flaherty's ailing right shoulder is, quote, a small tear in the slap, a slap tear, per President John Mozeliak. They still think this is something he can pitch through, so our fingers are crossed that that's true, Mozeliak said. I don't know enough about that kind of thing to be able to tell you whether a slap tear is
Google
this or that. So, yeah, Google it and listen to Jack Flaherty's thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, I've started throwing program and then work from there. I've got some things to clean up. I started doing some things mechanically that were not normal. I started leading to some things, whether that's post oblique or not. We're still trying to figure out, but we'll work from there. Started throwing program and then slowly, work our way back into it.
Have you had a chance to look at your mechanics from the past and figure out where the disconnect is?
Oh yeah, there's some real simple stuff that I was doing that I look at and I don't know where that started from or where that happened. Things that just don't kind of make sense. But hopefully things that aren't too difficult to fix. I'll look at it day and night and work through it and do whatever I have to do.
I mean, obviously, super important player for the Cardinals' postseason chances.
Super important to the sport. He's one of the top young, great pitchers.
Yeah, you were just Googling slap tear.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to try to sit here and play a doctor on there, but it's something about the anterior prostate area. Anything that says tear is not good. If he can pitch through it, that's fantastic. But, man, that's just terrible news because he's one of the guys that's going to lead this Cardinal team to the postseason.
Yeah.
And I said he's so important to the game because he's one of the electric young guys that came on the scene and was just really getting ready to get to that whole next level. The last 2 seasons have kind of been start and go for him. And I hope he's able to get through this thing and recover quick.
Let's bring Matt Orzo in on this. Interesting because Matt is in today for noted Cardinals apologist Keith Costas, who took the day off because he's so flummoxed by this news. There are other question marks in this rotation. Michael is coming back from injury. Dakota Hudson came back last year at the end of the season. But this is something that the Cardinals don't want to even consider being without Jack Flaherty.
It's a huge problem for them. Remember, he only made 15 starts last season while dealing with a different type of shoulder injury. Adam Wainwright's turning 41 years old in August. He's coming off a 200-plus inning season. While he could very well be a future Hall of Fame pitcher, you don't want to put that much of a burden on an aging guy.
In the NL Central, then, if we all think it's a 2-horse race, Pittsburgh is under, constant reconstruction. It looks like Cincinnati is scaling back. The Cubs might be a wild card, but if we agree that the Brewers and Cardinals make up the class of the division, where does this affect that power balance?
It definitely gives an edge to Milwaukee, who made a couple of good moves adding to their offense in the offseason, just recently getting Andrew McCutchen. But I'm worried because, like you talked before, Matty, Michaelis has thrown just 44 2/3 innings in the majors since the start of 2020. He's coming off of injuries. Wainwright is getting up there in years as great as he is. Flaherty is the ace of this staff. You've got an aging ball club. And I don't even want to say, but, Goldschmidt's getting up there in age, too. I think he's 33, 34 years old. He's getting up there. Arenado's getting up there. This is a win-now situation, I believe, for St. Louis. And you need your head of the rotation, your creme de la creme in Jack Flaherty. And here, like we said before, only 15 starts last year with a shoulder injury. This is not what you wanted for St. Louis, especially, this season. We could be seeing a lot of pitching injuries with the shortened spring training and still coming off the COVID shortened spring training from a couple of years ago. Injuries are going to be prevalent in the game.
All right, Matt, thank you. Matt Orso's thoughts on what a Jack Flaherty-less Cardinals rotation would look like. It gets down to this. You take a staff ace away from any rotation, and it's not what it was before that guy got hurt.
Yeah, you always want to figure out what happens to the what-ifs, right? And you don't ever think the what-if is going to be that star, young stud that's going to go ahead and lead your staff.
Yeah.
That's the guy. Right now would have been the year you're hoping he would get to 150, 200 innings. So that doesn't look like a possibility.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make a trade. They're going to have to get some pitching.
Well, I don't know if the odds.
Question mark.
I don't know if the odds reflect this latest bit of news. I don't believe they do. But the BetMGM NL Central preseason numbers, they got the Brewers, the chalk at 130, minus 130, and then The Cardinals, they were at plus 200 not too long ago, and that's down to a plus 190 now. And the rest of it's a dart throw in that division. We'll talk about those odds as they relate to Cy Young Award winners coming up in just a little bit. Let's take a break. When we come back, Jon Heyman rejoins us. There are still players on the market, despite our earlier assertion that all the stars are gone. Not so fast. There's still some really good players out there, including a guy who's only known one Major League employer. Where for Brett Gardner next?
And I walk out, and my car is dented.
Well, Geico does offer 24/7 claim service with personalised attention from an assigned team.
24/7? That's a lot of attention.
They're not actually with you 24/7. They're just available whenever you need them.
Oh, okay, good. Because I took an online quiz, and it turns out I'm an introvert.
I actually think I'm an introvert, too.
Oh, no, it's incredibly rare.
I don't think that's right.
Sorry.
Okay.
Geico, your claims team is here for you 24/7.
Does daily stress leave you feeling out of sync? New Dove Men Stress Relief Body Wash with a plant-based adaptogen helps alleviate stress on skin so you can get back in sync. New Dove Men, a restorative shower for body and mind.
I can't wait to see this guy hit.
Camping season starts now. Shop the nation's largest selection of pre-owned RVs only at Camping World.
We've got your back, Road Warriors. Because we know you want to get back to going your speed. Steering life at 10 and 2. You're hitting the road. And we're helping you get there with confidence. Soon, you'll get back to skipping the counter without missing a beat. Back to choosing any car in the aisle. Back to being the boss of you. Go national. Go like a pro.
This is my zen time. It's
like a video game.
This lawn brings me such pride, and I like to have hops.
We grow our own. People say, well, what are you? Are you a farmer or a brewer? So I say,
I am definitely a lines guy. This is my happy place. It's
just really fast.
When I'm done, I work on my mind, my body, and my brisket.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your mow. Learn how to make the most of yours at Deere.com.
Max. No. Max! Max! Max!
Dogs don't know what's good for them. Luckily, you do. Greenie's Dental Treats.
Veteran homeowners, have you been spending more time at home? Imagining the possibilities? Like a bigger kitchen, a swimming pool for the grandkids, or a backyard deck. Your VA home loan benefit and the New Day 100 VA loan make it possible. By borrowing up to 100% of your home's value, you can take out up to $60,000 or more. With home values at all-time highs, now's the time to call.
Call 1-844-946-1657.
Yes, there was a lot of business attended to over the weekend with some notable high-profile free agent signings, but there's still so much to get done before opening day in just a couple of weeks on April 7th. Let's go back to Jon Heyman for the remaining agenda with the Oakland A's. They're dangling two very valuable starting pitchers on the market. Do we know anything about where Frankie Montas or Sean Manaea might land?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're clearly still shopping these two great pitchers. Montas has 2 years to go. Manaea 1 year before he's a free agent. So Montas more valuable at this point for that reason. Both excellent young pitchers. And there are a lot of teams, as you'd imagine, in on this. The Cardinals, you just referenced the injury to Flaherty. They certainly could use one of these two pitchers. The Yankees, we talked about earlier, White Sox, Twins, Royals, but you could go on and on. There's no reason to think that any team but the Brewers, who have 5 great starters, wouldn't be of interest.
That's amazing. That's amazing. 30 teams, only one of them would say, nah, we don't need any starting pitching help. Everybody needs starting pitching help. Everybody could use a veteran, experienced outfielder that can put the ball in play like Brett Gardner. But is there any desire for him to play anywhere outside the Bronx?
Yeah, I kind of doubt it. I mean, he's a loyal guy. You know, he wants to be a Yankee, I'm sure. So I think eventually there's a chance that they work this out. I know last year some people were surprised that they did, and he was his usual very dependable self, having a solid season for the Yankees and playing a lot more than you would have expected. So he'd like to come back. I mean, he's the last guy remaining from the 2009 World Series championship. It's a long time ago, I know, but still can play, and we all hope that they work it out at this point.
You also have to remember or expect he knows what to expect coming off the bench. He knows his role. He knows New York. That's hard to find.
They've also left his locker open in Tampa. Like, it's sitting there. Like everybody expects or is hopeful that he's back.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they love the guy. I mean, and he loves it there, and we've got to figure they're going to work it out. I mean, the Yankees were working on a little bit of Trevor's story, looking at that. They're certainly working on the A's pitchers. They got a big deal they got to work out with Aaron Judge, but I think eventually we all feel that it'll be at least one more year for Brett Gardner.
All right, so who else is out there? I mean, are there any other conclusions we might learn of today?
Yeah, I think possibly. I mean, Johnny Cueto is working hard on something right now. He should be able to find a deal. He was league average 100 ERA plus last year, so I think he'll have a job at some point very quickly. But there are a few other interesting free agents. Albert Pujols still out there. We heard earlier there were 3 teams interested. So with the DH now in both leagues, and he did play well with the Dodgers, so that's a possibility. There's still a lot of relievers. Tony Watson may be the best one. He had a 0.78 whip last year, pretty darn good. He's obviously getting up there in years, but very effective pitcher. And the guy I mentioned earlier, Tommy Pham, who's a solid outfielder, good on-base guy. He certainly should get a major league job at some point.
Tony Watson, unsigned. That confuses me. He had a good year, man.
There's over 125 free agents still out there,
including Tony Watson.
And part of it is because of all the trade stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
You know, that holds up everything. And
yeah.
We're getting close to opening day.
And John, thank you. Most of the Cy Young candidates already are in uniform. Like there isn't like a huge, bigger-than-life free agent starter that's out there. Let's take a look at some of the BetMGM odds in the American League. Garrett Cole's the chalk at plus 400. Shane Bieber, coming off injury.
Yeah.
He's next shortest shot on the list. And then you've got the defending Cy Young champ, Robbie Ray. Lucas Giolito's a plus 1,100. And then 4 tied at that plus 1,600 number.
Missing?
Could I suggest a few here that might be worthy of your dart throw? Like guys in the middle or longer of the pack. Shane McClanahan at plus 2,000. Kevin Gossman at plus 2,000. And I love Tarek Skubal. You know
you
that.
love him.
I mean, I've watched him in pieces. I've watched complete games. I think that's a guy that when he puts it all together in one big year. And by the way, he's not the opening day guy. I mean, opening day guys to win Cy Young awards, that's a 1980s and 90s thing, I feel like. I mean, that's just how I feel. It's not totally true, but I feel like you win a Cy Young award when you're that guy that's in the 2 or 3 spot in a rotation. You're still going to get the innings and the starts, and you're not matching up against everybody else's ace. I use this all the time. It was Barry Zito with the A's when he won a Cy Young award.
All right, I like that. I do caution, like, Gossman going back to the American League. And with that new DH in the National League now, you can't navigate lineups, you know, and the front offices want to not see you 3 times through.
But he's a totally different guy than he was when he was in Baltimore.
I get it.
I mean,
I get it.
Not totally, because he still threw a split, but it's a different
He
pitch
found
now.
himself.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But I do think that, you know, we have to be aware of the DH is different, man.
Yeah.
It changes how you pitch to a lineup. You don't have a pitcher sitting down there as an out when you get in the jam, or the 8-hitter, I'll pitch around to get to the pitcher.
Right.
That eliminates 2 hitters in your lineup like that.
Yeah. By the way, you know why I have Shane McClanahan on that list?
Why?
Because of what Liam Hendricks told us last week.
Oh, yeah.
The mound in St. Pete. All the extra
feel 3
extensions.
inches closer.
Yeah, and he's nasty too, dude. I mean, he doesn't need any tricky mounds to help him. He's nasty.
Yeah, I think some of the young guys are not being looked at. I'm not fully there with my baseball brain as I'm rolling into the season.
Yeah.
There's some young studs that are going to be up there.
Yep. We'll keep revisiting that one as we continue this offseason. What's left of it. Let's take a break. When we come back, remember this. Remember Darren Baker? Get him out of the way, JT. Well, he's all grown up. Dusty said, man.
Thanks, JT.
Yeah. A Darren Baker update is next.
Cracked windshield? Make it easy and schedule with Safelite because you can track us and see exactly